Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. I said I wasn't going to be doing a live on Wednesdays, and and I lied, clearly. No, I am so happy that you guys are joining me. You're catching it live now or catching the replay later on. I'm so thankful for you guys to be checking me out. But if you don't know, my name is Yolanda. I am locating Cozy, and this is a broad chat. So, today, I decided, well, how can I say it? Actually, this was just a good time to go live. Why? Just because I could. And I was so thankful because my special guest said that she can join me. So I'm really excited. But before we get started, first of all, please make sure that you say hello and that, give in the kudos and acknowledgments and tell us where you're at. And let's get this party started. So today I have on Miss Kiersten Brown. And Kiersten, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Oh man, this is so cool. So the reason why I'm really excited about this, because I've talked to quite a few people now that are like, at different stages of moving, whether, they're moving to Mexico or Spain or wherever they're going to. And I hope to speak to a lot more women that are on their, individual journeys. But over the next couple of months, you're kicking off more of me interviewing people that are actually here in Spain. So that's what's really exciting about this. So before we get started, I always have a couple little questions that I like to ask before we actually jump into the topic at hand and really kind of dig down and get to know you better. One of the things that I like to ask is what's going on in your world? What's going on in my world? What's going on in your world?
Yeah, a lot of different things. I'm a multi-passionate person. So one thing that is consistently always going on in my world is dance. I started flamenco classes. I've had flamenco dancing, I think about 2 years ago. So that's happening. I had my flamenco class today, and also doing traditional bachata, tap, a little bit of salsa. So those are kind of the things when I'm not focused on like business and work, those are the things that are usually occupying my time.
And I look forward to really digging down into this part about your dance and all that, because I didn't know. I've seen stuff that you posted on social media, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
she does a lot. Like she's a performer. Like you know things, okay?
Thank you.
So wow. So yes, I look forward to digging into that in a little bit. What's going on in my world right now? I actually had it written down. And now I don't know where the note is. So right now I'm actually working on the scheduling for the next couple of months as far as me interviewing and kind of developing and making some changes. So I'm actually pretty proud of myself for this because yeah, I like just as far as like reaching out now and being productive and scheduling over the next couple of months, and then also starting to create more clips to post on social media. So I don't have a social media person. So me doing this is like a big deal and trying to be consistent. But yeah, so yeah, that's the big thing, trying to be consistent. But I am really enjoying the learning process and the just kind of getting to like adapting to like what I find interesting or the clips that I create. For example, my youngest daughter that lives here, she has her own business as a VA, but she's actually taken up in the last year and a half pole dancing in the last year, pole dancing, and has become quite good at it, very good at it. So there was a clip I interviewed of my three daughters like in separate occasions in December. And there was a clip that I just posted that just said, about her getting her stripper heels that her grandmother brought over from the States when she was visiting a few months ago.
Love that.
So I feel like if I had somebody else actually posting or pulling shorts or clips, they wouldn't be able to catch that personality that we have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what's going on in my world, is really just kind of embracing and finding. I feel like maybe I will eventually bring someone on to handle my shorts, my clips, but I feel like they need to see like what my trend of how I do my clips are, so they'll know like, oh, this is like quote on brand with her personality.
Right. Yeah. I think that's so great because right now you're building your brand and you're showing what's authentic to you, and then later when things take off, you're going to need someone to come in and replicate what you've already done.
Exactly. So that's what's going on in my world. Yes.
Exciting.
Let me just go in here. I know, again, people tend to Sibani. So the reason I stopped and paused is because, hold on, Sibani has come and been a great support over the past, I don't know, I think a few months now. And I never get her name right. And every time she comes on and she like comments, and I'm like, I don't want to butcher her name. So I'm like, put the pronunciation in there, like phonetically. How do you? And so I was like, after the last live, I literally said, you're going to remember her name. You have to practice it. And it's not like it's impossible. But for me, my brain wasn't clicking. So anyways, hello, Sivani. It is so good to see you. And thank you for joining today. Oh, yes. Thank you. Yeah, girl. Yeah, new hair. Yes.
It's fabulous.
It may still be the same come Sunday. You might see something else. I don't know. I be switching it up.
There you go.
Yeah, the big running joke was literally when I moved here from the US in April, one suitcase was just full of hair. It was just hair.
Love it.
And it was like, I was like, because I had shipped a bunch of things like via send my bag over because I knew I was moving here. But for some reason, I was like, I will not be sending my hair via send my bag. I'm taking that with me on the plane. It stays with me the entire time.
Smart. That's a smart move. Yeah.
What's important to me?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the other thing that I do like to ask also is basically, how are you locating your cozy? And the question is, what are you doing that's about you? That's putting you first, that's bringing you joy. Something that just might be as big or small as however important or nonchalant you feel like it needs to be. But yeah, how have you located your cozy lately?
Yeah, I think that's such a great question. And I think two things come to mind. One is reading. It's just really, I've always been like a reader. I love reading, but over the years, being an adult with adult responsibilities and like running a business and like having just to do a lot of reading and research for my work, I have made reading less of a priority, like reading for pleasure, less of a priority. So I'm slowly getting back into that. And just like making sure that even if it's just like for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just taking a break out of the day, kind of escaping my own mind and my own thoughts and getting into a different world with a book. And then the other thing I'm doing to kind of take care of myself is just strengthening the connections with the friends and family that I have. And so what that looks like is just making an effort to reach out to people, people that I know are close to me, that I consider a good friend or even family, that I don't talk to on the regular. Like every month I'm trying to like reach out to someone that like is a good friend of mine, but maybe we haven't stayed in touch frequently, because to me, that's something that fills me up. It's just having those connections, being able to talk to someone, being able to hear about their life, be able to share about my life. Like I really, really value relationships and human connection. So just putting more effort into the relationships that I have.
Something that, and I am a big proponent for this, and I heard it from Halisi from Our Black Utopia. I heard her say this, and she actually schedules time, like appointments with her family. Like, it might be one family member that they like on the calendar, she sends calendar invites, like it might be once a week. And then another family member or friend, it might be once a month. But she has it on the calendar to make sure that she's very intentional about keeping communication and keeping in contact with certain people. And again, it might just be once a month, and some people might just be once a quarter. But at least she's like, has put it on the calendar. And I really did. I've started doing that. And I remember the first time I reached out to one of my sisters and I said, so I'm going to send you a calendar invite and we're going to meet up, every 2 weeks. And she was like, You sending me a calendar invite?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, and I still haven't been the best at it, but it's more intentional. Of course, we all get busy, but just to be more intentional about it is a great thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that idea.
Yes. So how am I locating my cozy? So again, sometimes I don't have anything. I'm like, girl, I'm just surviving. But actually, I have to acknowledge that one of the things that I'm doing right now that's all about me is trying to get off the sugar, the ice cream here. I've become, because I'd be walking everywhere. So I'm like, girl, you can eat ice cream every day. Okay.
As long as you're walking.
What I'll do is I'll have a pint of, there's ice cream that I get from Dia.
Oh yeah.
It's a macadamia nut one or whatever stuff.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
So one of those, one of those pints will last me three desserts, 3 servings. So I'll do one a day. But then I'm like, girl, you gotta stop this. This food, it's yes, you're spreading it out, but you gotta stop this. So what I've started doing is kind of looking, and I've started creating smoothies. So I brought some fresh strawberries and bananas, and I froze them, and then I started making little smoothies. But there's one thing that I've just discovered just a few days ago, and I don't know why I tried it, but it was freaking good. The plain Greek yogurt, not the just in the little individual sizes, but the plain Greek yogurt, I mix in some peanut butter and some honey or some agave and some cinnamon or whatever, and I just mix it up, and then I put maybe I'll put one of those Biscoff cookies in there.
Oh one. Yeah.
And it is just so good to me. And I was like, oh my God, you don't have, there's no guilt.
Yeah.
Besides, the cookie. I'm like, it's the cookie.
It's the cookie.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so for me right now, my cozy is finding not saying that I'm giving up ice cream, because I'm not gonna lie to myself or you. I'm just not doing that. But just to find other alternatives so it's not the automatic go-to. And I have literally been eating that, just a few days stuff, but before I guess shut down my window for the day or whatever stuff, I will, maybe 7:30, I'll go in and just make that little concoction. And I'm like, this is just a teaspoon or a tablespoon of peanut butter and some Greek yogurt and some sweetener. It was freaking good. Who knew? Okay. Locating my cozy. Okay.
There you go.
So well, again, I'm so glad that you came. I'm going to do the whole spiel at the end about what's going on as far as, well, I'm going to say this. Black and Zaragoza Facebook group is live. Okay. Yay. So yes. And we are having I am hosting a meetup in April here in Spain, 2 days in Madrid, and then 3 days in Zaragoza. And yes, I will be sharing that information. If you're interested in attending, please do check out. I'm going to go ahead. The descriptions are all in the information is in the description below, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in the comments just because. And bear with me. So you can either join the Black and Zaragoza group, or you can actually, I'm going to post in a little while, I'm going to post the email subscription, the link to sign up for the emails, so that you can get notifications that way if you're not a Facebook person, or you can do both.
Nice.
Okay,
Nice.
Okay. I have questions for you. So I have to tell you, I create, I do my whole thing, and I got 20 questions. I never go through all of them. Don't get me wrong. So don't worry. You don't have to be like, oh my God, she wants all my business. Yes, don't. But it's funny because the 20 questions that I created, and then on top of that, I was like, oh, you have to ask her this. Oh, wait a minute, I have 6 other questions besides the 20 questions. Again, not going through all of them. But I did want to ask you about where are you at in Spain, and how long have you been there?
Yeah. So I always tell people that I live in a small town, but it's really like a small city. And so the name of the city is called Jaén. It's also the name of the region. It is in the south of Spain. And but it's not Jaén. Spelled Jaen, with a little teal on the E, I think. Yeah, so, but it's not very well known. And so when I'm telling people about it, if you're familiar with the geography of Spain, most people are familiar with Sevilla or Seville. So I'm about 2-hour drive from Seville. I'm in the south. And if you're familiar with Granada, I'm about an hour above Granada. So kind of like in the south, in like the middle, about an hour and a half from Cordoba. So it is, yeah. So it's a mountainous region. We're surrounded by mountains. So we're not on the coast. I am a beach girl, but I live in the inner city with the mountains. But yeah, so that's where I'm currently located. And I say it's a small town because it has like there's only about maybe 100,000.
Population says 120,000. I checked some facts.
120,000. Okay. Off by 20,000. Yes. So for me, that is small because I came from like Los Angeles. I came from California. So I'm just like, oh, that's like a city in California. So yeah, for me, it's a little bit small. But it's been a really nice change for me to live in a place that is essentially a little bit more cozier than some of like the bigger cities like Madrid or Barcelona. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And okay, so you said the nearest city is where? Is
the nearest like
the
major
nearest big
city? Yeah, the nearest big city would be Granada. That's like an hour away. We're also, I think, about 2 hours from Malaga. If you're familiar with where
okay.
Malaga
So
is.
it's like, and then you said it's about 2 hours from Sevilla too. So it's like
Yeah.
different directions you can hit all this. Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty center. Yeah, I think it's in about 4 hours. 4 hours by train to Madrid. And I think about like 3.5 hour car drive to Madrid. So you kind of just go straight up. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So how is it that you came to, because how long have you lived there now?
Oh yeah, I've been here for about 4 years now. Mm-hmm.
So how did it come that you ended up there in Hyann?
Yeah. Um, I kind of say that it was fate or it was destiny. The reason why I say that is because I originally came to Spain through the teaching English program. And when I was
Is
there,
that
I got
NALCAP?
to, hmm?
Is
Yeah,
that
NALCAP.
NALCAP or is it another
Yeah,
program? Okay.
NALCAP.
Okay.
Yeah, NALCAP. Actually, no, lies. It was first Conversa Spain, which is kind of like a private program, and then it was NALCAP. Yes.
Okay.
So NALCAP actually brought me to, what does it stand for? North American Language Exchange, no, Language Assistant, something, but pretty much it's the language assistance program where they take people from different English speaking countries and they invite them to come and work as a language assistant teaching English to different schools within different schools. And so that program, you don't exactly get to choose where you're located, but you get to choose like the region. And so a lot of people had told me about Granada and they're like, oh, it's so great, like you got to go. And so I was like, oh, it was an option to be located or to be put in Granada. And I was like, okay, I'm going to ask for Granada. And instead of getting Granada, I got Jaén, where I am now. So I think it was kind of fate of the universe saying like, okay, I know that you want Granada, so I'm going to put you close to Granada, but I'm actually going to put you where you're meant to be. And so I feel like I was meant to be here. And I came here a little bit after the pandemic when things were still kind of weird, essentially, where things were still closing early, people were still wearing masks. So the first year I didn't really get to like experience the city for what it is. And so I stayed another year to really kind of get to know the city, get to know the people. And then 1 year turned into 2 years, turned into 3 years. And now here I am 4 years later.
You know, I love that you said this, that you said the first year you really didn't get to experience it the way you would have liked to. And then you decided, I'm going to stay another year. And that is so important because a lot of times I've heard of people saying, you know, it's not the norm, but I've definitely heard of people saying like they get here and then like, you know, 30 days later, they're like, I don't like this place. Nah, that's okay. You're like, it takes time sometimes for a place to really grow on you and you to see the real value and the beauty of a place,
It does. Yeah.
So, wow, okay. And also, I was just going to point out because, like, you had put in the request for Granada, and the thing is, so many people automatically apply for the big cities.
Yeah.
They automatically apply for the big cities. So, and so they're like when because my daughter did that program, and she moved here to Zaragoza in 2016, and she had never heard of Zaragoza before
Yeah.
they put her here. Okay.
Yeah. Like,
And now 8 years later, I moved here, okay, because I've come to appreciate it so much. And I hate it. Well, I won't say I hate it. I didn't care for Zaragoza when the first time I came here. I was like, oh no, give me a big city. But now it's definitely growing on me.
Yeah. I think that I just kind of to reiterate your point, it's like you really have to stick it out. You really have to push yourself because it's different when you visit a place and then you come back or you go there for the first time trying to live there, trying to move there. It's a different experience and it's not always pretty. It's not always comfortable. But if you have that patience and you can stick it out, then I feel like you will discover things about a city, about a town, about an area that you wouldn't have discovered unless you stuck it out.
Yes, exactly. Now, it's like, I'm like, like, hey, kumbaya and all about Zaragoza.
Yeah.
and being willing to work through the challenges that you might experience, because I always try to make sure I let people know it's like, yes, I'm all kumbaya Zaragoza, and yes, just biggest, but also I want to make sure I'm realistic as far as how I express it, to say, like, anywhere you move to, it's not just going to be just easy and, I just fell into place. No, but any challenges that I've experienced was something that I was able to address, overcome, and adjust accordingly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. So, tell me about. Oh, okay. So before I get into like what you like to do as far as all the bands and things of that nature, like, have you ever lived or checked out or visited any other countries? Where else have you been?
Yeah. So I started my first moved abroad in 2017. Yes. I was in Panama. So I moved to Panama and I stayed there for about 2 years. And then I went to Colombia for about a month because while I was in Panama, I actually applied to work as a language assistant in Spain. So after I got my acceptance, I went to Colombia after Panama for about a month because I love Colombia. And I wanted to stay there a little bit longer the past trips that I have been there. So I stayed there for about a month. Then I went back to the US to do all the visa stuff because for anyone that wants to come to Spain through the language assistant program, you have to apply for a visa. You have to go to your, embassy. You have to go to your local embassy, do all the paperwork, and then I came here. And so I've been, so Panama, Colombia, and then to Spain are the places that I've lived.
And you had never been to Spain before you moved here for the program?
No. So this is my first time in Europe.
What made you like even apply and say, I'm going to pick Spain?
Yeah. I knew that I wanted to. I think I always say that I was in this point in my life, and I'm still kind of there too. I think I'm a little bit more comfortable now, but I was in this point of my life where it's just like, I wanted to continuously put myself outside of my comfort zone. And I was like, what would that look like? And so I found the opportunity to teach English in Spain. And I knew that the next country, because it was about time when I was in Panama, and I was just like, I really love Panama, but it just kind of felt time to move on. And I was just like, I'm not really sure where I want to go. And I also knew that I wanted to stay within a Spanish-speaking country because I had started learning Spanish in Panama, and I was like, I want to keep on this train. And so what was curious is when I first saw the opportunity to come to Spain, I started kind of mentioning it to people, and everybody was just like, oh, Spain is great. You're going to love it. You have to go. I started meeting people from Spain who were vacationing in Panama. I was teaching English at the time, and then I had like students that were from Spain. So kind of just everything was like Spain, 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 Spain. And so I was just like, well, I guess this is meant to be.
It's a calling. It's a calling.
It's a calling.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's
It's like
how
little whispers all over the place.
Yeah, and I think that like to on a more like spiritual level, there's that saying where like when the universe knows what you want, it like formulates, to give you what you want. And I think that you really have to pay attention. I think when you really set that intention, you really do have to kind of pay attention to like what the universe is telling you.
Yes, very much so. And just know that little seeds, and I call them like the little breadcrumbs or whatever. Yes, they were probably started being, dropped a little while ago that you didn't even see,
Yeah,
but yes.
exactly.
So are you fluent in Spanish, or I mean, did you become fluent while in Panama? It just became a natural, or?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm fluent yet. That is definitely my ultimate goal. I would say that I have an intermediate to sometimes upper intermediate level. I use Spanish on a daily. There's just like especially where I live, because there's not a lot of English speakers where I live. So I use Spanish on the daily. I have gotten through different milestones. Like I've gone to the doctor and spoke Spanish. I've gone out to eat and spoke Spanish. So I feel I'm pretty more or less confident in conversational Spanish, and maybe like a little bit more, whatever the next level might be. But there's definitely times where there's definitely like some tenses and some verbs that I'm just like, oh, I don't even know yet. There's definitely still some times where, depending on the accent of someone, or depending on how fast they speak, it might be a little bit difficult for me to understand them. But it's something that I'm progressing in. And it's something that, I definitely hope within the next couple of years, I can have that. I can confidently say that I am fluent or near fluent in Spanish.
I went to the doctor for the first time while here about 2 weeks ago, and I found a doctor here that speaks English, and she was very nice, and it was an experience. I do have an appointment for a doctor in Madrid to go for my annual for my female needs, because I was just like, the train is only an hour and 15 minutes to Madrid. And there was just more options to find somebody who speaks English. And right now I am not skilled, or I don't speak enough Spanish to really communicate with a doctor that only speaks Spanish. And my daughter was like, well, I'll go with you. And I was like, I prefer not. Okay. Not yet. I mean, if I need her, I mean, she's, yeah. But,
of course, yeah.
But yes, I look forward to when I can, when I'm able to actually do full communication, but I'm still like in the very young and baby steps, but I do okay. Yeah. I become more dependent on my daughter when she's around, but like we went out to lunch this weekend, and it was her and another young lady that has moved here. So we go out to lunch, and like they're talking, my daughter's very fluent. Christine is like much more fluent than me. And so I just looked at them while they were talking to the waitress, like, now what'd she say? Okay. But when I'm by myself, I know how to get the communication in.
Yeah, and that's just most important. I think just always something that I remind myself of too, is just like, was I able to communicate? Like that's like the biggest thing. I think a lot of people get mixed up and like, speaking in a certain way, knowing all the verbs, knowing all the tenses, but the most important thing I think with any language is, can you communicate? And that's what matters most. Yeah.
Okay. So do you speak any other languages?
No, I'm very intrigued by Portuguese, particularly like Brazilian Portuguese. So I feel like once I feel a little bit more confident, or I feel like my level of Spanish has increased a little bit more, I definitely am interested and curious about speaking like Brazilian Portuguese, learning Brazilian Portuguese. When I went to France one year, I tried speaking a few phrases. But luckily I had a friend there who spoke French, so she kind of helped me get by. But yeah, French is really hard. I admire anybody that speaks it and knows it and has learned it as a second language. But yeah, but Spanish has me occupied. Spanish and English are my go-tos.
Okay. Yeah. My daughter is, because she's definitely bilingual, Spanish and
Mm-hmm.
English. And she's actually been wanting to, because as a virtual assistant, one of her clients is that there's a project that's helping in Haiti. And so they
Oh.
speak French. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like one of her, like, I really do want to learn. And she's been slowly, somewhat trying to learn, more of it.
Mm-hmm.
And since she is very, very well versed in Spanish, it's a little bit easier, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still challenging. Now, I went to Portugal a couple of weeks ago to do a pet sit, well, about a month ago now. And that was even more intimidating because with me already trying to learn Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
listening to Portuguese, I was like, I feel like I regressed into like infant. Okay. It's just like, I don't know what you're saying. And I'm speaking to them in my broken Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
not wanting to offend them because they're
Yeah.
like, it's not the same. And I know this, but that's all I had to fall back on until like
Yeah.
maybe a few
Yeah.
of them were like, English, like, do you speak English? It's like, yes.
Yes. I mean, I never, yeah, I feel like when I went to Portugal, I did the same. I was just like, I tried because I had a friend that is Portuguese. And so she would
Mhm.
help me and I would try to like say certain Portuguese phrases, but I just fell back on Spanish because I was just like, I know it's not the same. I don't think it's the same, but there are similarities. So,
Yeah.
and a lot of my Portuguese speaking people that I know have often said that like Spanish is very similar and they can understand Spanish speakers. So I was just like, okay, well, we're just gonna stick with that then.
When you speak bad Spanish or you don't know enough Spanish and you're trying to get it doesn't translate very well in Portugal. But again, I love Portugal. It's like the best of both worlds because I don't want to live in Lisbon, but I love being able to go there. So whenever I feel like
Mm-hmm.
going, I'll be like, let me find me a nice pet sit so I can go and hang
There
out
you
there for a
go.
week or so, and then
Yeah.
I'll come on back out. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go.
So, what was your first impression when you got to Spain?
I was fascinated and slightly overwhelmed at the same time.
Mhm.
I remember hearing the accents of like the Spanish accent, and it's very different from what I was used to, like South American, Central American accents. That was a big change for me. But and then I was kind of overwhelmed because there's so many differences, I think, between US culture and Spanish culture. The meal times are different. Shops closing at certain hours. Just the how paperwork is done, even going to the bank. Like I remember there were moments where it's like, oh, you can only come to the bank at like from 8 to 11 in the morning. And I was just like, wait, what? But also I felt pretty welcomed and I felt safe. I think very early on, I felt very safe here. And yeah, so it was kind of like, this is a whole new jungle, but I like it. Yeah.
That's amazing. And how big was what kind of community were you able to find maybe before you got there or immediately upon arrival?
Yeah, I
As far as
feel
like internet,
like,
groups or in person?
mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I was able to find community when I got here. Um, Even though when you come as an language assistant or an auxiliary, when you come, you kind of have that community. I don't want to say community. I want to say you have that group. You have that group of people that have either come on the same program as you, who are maybe working in the same school as you. So you have that. But I found out I've always felt that was like my fallback. I don't know why. I think it was kind of like because it was a lot of the same people in a sense of there was a lot of Americans and it kind of just didn't feel like I didn't really get into that group too much of like other language assistants because I kind of felt like I wanted to something new. I wanted to get to know more locals or other people. With that being said, there are definitely individual people that I have found through the language assistant program. One of my closest friends is from Canada. Another of my closest friends is from New York. So I was able to find individuals through the group. But I think what it helped me, I first went to Cartagena, which is a coastal city on the other side of Spain. And so what helps me,
Colombia. I was thinking about Colombia.
Colombia. There's
Okay.
Cartagena de Indias in Colombia, but there's also Cartagena in Spain. And so when I was there, I was very fortunate to one of the teachers that I worked with. We're about the same age. I think we're actually the same age. And so she made friends with me right away. And then she connected me to like language exchange groups. There was a couch surfing group for like people that were on the couch surfing app. And so that's how I kind of found community right away. And it was a mixture of people. It was a mixture of Spanish people. It was a mixture of, there was a couple of French people. There was a couple of Americans and things like that. So there's kind of this like a mixture of different people from different walks of life, different nationalities. And so that happened when I was in Cartagena. And that community kind of got me through the pandemic too, which was really great. We would like go online and we would like play games online and things like that, do a bunch of Zoom calls. So so that's how I kind of found a community. And then when I moved to High End, where I am now, it was through connecting to one or two people that kind of helped me connect to more people. So I had, I think this probably happens, for many Black Americans, is like when you go to a new place, go to a new country, you kind of always connect to other Black Americans that are there. So that's what happened to me. So I connected to one friend, and then she connected to me to another friend who's been living here for like, I think 10 years now. And from that one friend, I kind of met other people. And then another thing that helped me kind of build community is dance. So like when I started joining dance classes and going to like social dances, that was also like another way that I created community here.
So I was actually going to ask you about that because I was going to ask you about what does your leisure and social life look like, but already addressed part of that. But I wanted to go back to, you went to school in California for dance, or was that a major, minor?
No. Yeah, great question. Dance has always been a passion of mine, and I didn't major in it in school. So how do I describe it? It was I think people are surprised by that.
I was looking at your stuff on Facebook, and I was like, oh, I thought something dance, and I assumed I was wrong.
There might have been something. I don't know. There might be something there. But so what I did is there's a lot of different ways to pursue dance. I pursue dance more semi-professionally in a way where I did do performances kind of like on my own. I was on a competitive dance team for a while. I taught dance classes. So I did that route for a little bit, just kind of through experience and training and just networking. But it's always been something that I think has brought me joy. First and foremost, it's been a way to express myself. It's been community too. I think, one of the biggest aspects of why I continue to dance is because it continually brings me community. And so it is something that I have had years and years of training in, but it hasn't been something that I like went to school for. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, my goodness, because I've seen again some of your posts where you're the yoga, the Pilates, or whatever. You're flexible, okay. Unlike me, you're flexible, okay. So I see you like doing the most. Like I think like your profile pic is like you just like.
Yeah. I have like my leg up. Okay. Yeah.
Wow. So you do like various forms of dance in, I guess, doing like, things with your body that, most of us, can only dream of. And how have you developed more communities relating to your dance or whatever you're into, or did you find people that had already created those communities?
Yeah, I was fortunate. Now that your question kind of sparked another thought or idea in my brain, but I was fortunate to find people where these communities already exist, and I was able to join those communities. But I would like, that's kind of I was thinking today about like my plans and my goals and my intentions for the year. One of my word for the year is communication, and kind of a branch of that. What I would like to do this year for dance is more creative collaborations. So speaking to what you just said, I would like to maybe this year, hopefully, but I don't know, in the future, start creating communities around dance. But luckily, I've been fortunate between flamenco, salsa, tap, and Lindy Hop. I've been able to join these communities.
What is Lindy Hop?
Okay, sorry.
I asked
if I have a friend here, I'm gonna have to send this exact clip to a friend, and she knows who she is. About Lindy Hop. So Lindy Hop, also known as swing dance, is also.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the thing is, I didn't know this until I came to Spain, that Lindy Hop is actually an African American dance, or swing. So Lindy Hop / swing is actually a Latin American dance. Yes.
Oh.
Along with tap, along with jazz dance, not the jazz dance that looks like ballet, but the jazz dance to actual jazz music. Oh, that's a whole thing. Like I can go on.
I heard you say this before. I can't remember who was interviewing you, but I heard you talking about this before. Yeah. I was like, no. Yeah, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's kind of going back to like community. I, being a tap dancer, I don't even know how I came across my friend and her Instagram page. And so I connected with her, and she's also another Black American who's been in Spain for, I think, like 10 plus years. She teaches. She's been all across like Europe teaching and things like that. She's very musically talented and inclined. And so, so she connected me to a dance class, and then that dance class connected me to like the world of Lindy Hop and jazz. And what's so beautiful, which I hope to talk about more, is that here in Spain, and I think in other parts of Europe, there is community through dance, and there's community for Black people through dance. And that's been something that I've been very fortunate to experience. And it's a thing, and there's an event that happens every year and called the Old School. And it is about bringing African dancers together across the diaspora and bringing them together to practice and learn about these traditionally African American dances. And what I've realized is that across the diaspora, dance is often the thing that unites Black people. And it's so beautiful. So I think that if for anyone that is wanting to move abroad and maybe struggling with building community, because I know that's often a question that I get a lot, maybe you probably have gotten to, like, how do you build community when you move abroad? I would suggest looking into dance spaces, because that's been, I've gotten a lot of community. I've grown within communities within the dance space.
Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing. I just, I admire, definitely, what you do. As I stated, my daughter, she's gotten into the pole dancing, and also at one point she was deeply into the Irish dancing.
Oh, nice.
Yes, one of her friends here had gotten her into it, and so they had a whole little like community performance, and it was really cool and stuff. So just always considering things. I'm gonna go in here and just check a couple of the comments. Luxury bucket list. Thank you, girl. You just have all the information and feedback. Thank you very much. And again, please make sure that you like, well, if you're here and you're watching, please do make sure you comment. Just say hello. Like, hey girl, what's up? And make sure that you do hit the like button, subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel. So you'll get the latest notifications about any upcoming interviews, because I have a lot of interviews coming up in the next, over the next couple of months. I'm really excited. And yeah, just, post your comments, whether you're watching it now or watching it later. But let's see here. I just wanted to go back and checking out a couple of the luxury bucket list comments. She says, we were interested in doing Spain, Italy comparison to live, but I don't think we can afford the possible taxes on foreigners or the taxes on the worldwide assets. So with that, I will say, that's the time when you really need to talk to somebody that's really well versed in not just what you hear online and what the real breakdown is. And that's why I went through my attorney. When I was actually seeking to move here, I went through an attorney. And it was funny because somebody in one of the other like expat groups or whatever had asked the question about, they posted anonymously, which is their right. But they literally said, this attorney wants to charge me, I think it was like €600. And she was like, I just feel like that's just too much. It's like, then you can go on and keep that 600. That's about how much I paid, and it was so well worth it. And some attorneys can charge you a whole lot more. And I was given a very much a hands-on caring treatment by my attorney. And so anybody that complains about having to spend, whatever, even $1,000, I don't know, to move to another country and have the best legal advice from a person, an attorney that's in Spain, I'm not going to complain about that. I'm not going to try to nickel and dime. Okay. Yeah. So I say that because, I don't know, and I can't speak on the taxes and how all that works. And, to find either a good attorney or a accountant that's based in Spain to help you understand what that really looks like, and not just go based on what you're seeing posted. Yeah. I mean, know your numbers, know the facts. I'm not trying to.
That's the thing. Yeah. 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 It is. And I think a lot of people don't consider taxes, but I think kind of like you said, know your numbers. So like, don't be afraid to actually and I do this for myself because I have to, but like punch the numbers, like get out a calculator and figure out what your income is, how much you're going to be paying in taxes, what are these, like break down your expenses. Is I think a lot of people think that like, oh, I can't afford it. But most of the time, if you're coming from the United States, you can probably afford it because the United States is a lot more expensive than most countries. So yeah, just don't be afraid to punch the numbers. Yeah. And talk to someone that is a professional.
Get the real insight. Yes, definitely. I'm just going to go back to one more that she said here. She said, I remember the first time I went to Barcelona in the 90s, I had a friend who spoke Portuguese and she was able to communicate with folks. Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the
thing. Different people. To help you. And with that, because tomorrow I'm actually, so I got approved for my 5-year residency a few months ago, and now I'm going. Yes, I'm so excited. But speaking of, there's a lot of things that I can do by myself, but just to make sure I'm covered, I decided that my daughter's going to go with me tomorrow to help me. What is she doing for me? Oh, I have to go and get. I have my little thing right here. I have to go open up my Spanish bank account tomorrow because I've been using Wise all this time and just like transferring money over from my American bank account, which I'm still going to have my American bank account.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, that ain't going nowhere. But so I'm going to do that. I'm going to go sign up, even though I have private insurance that I pay €1,200 a year, actually a little less than that. It actually comes out to, it's right now it's $1,100 a year. €1,100 a year.
Okay.
But I'm going to also just sign up for the public because I qualify for the public health thing. Yeah. So my daughter is gonna go with me for that.
Yay.
I need the good Spanish. And then I need that good Spanish, where she clearly understands what they're saying. So I'm not guessing. Because sometimes they'll say something and they'll be like, like in the end day, or in the end, whatever it is. Anyways, and I'll be like,
Yeah.
uh-huh, yeah, and don't know
Yeah.
what I just agreed to. Girl, stop
It
that. Just
happens.
make it
That
a
is part of the
walk.
journey.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing I
That is
got to
part of
do,
the
so
journey.
it's three things. And the other thing is I have to go to, because when I first got my Spanish phone number here, because I didn't have a Spanish bank account, even though I had a Wise account, it wasn't a Spain IBAN. So we ended up just putting my
Yeah.
phone service with my daughter and son-in-law. So now that I have my
Mm-hmm.
number and I can go open up a Spanish bank account, I'm going to go ahead and get my phone number just in my name by itself. And so
Nice. Yeah.
I'm looking forward. Hopefully they don't
Making
try
it
to rip me off.
official.
I know, like I belong here now. What?
Yes.
Okay, you belong. So I wanted to ask you, what was your family or friends' reactions when you first was like, I think well, I mean, from Panama to Colombia to Spain, what was their popping ideas or feelings about it?
I think that my parents really didn't believe me. Like, 'cause at that point I was traveling a lot. You know, like I had been to Cuba, I had been to Panama before, just like for a week vacationing. I had been to other places. So they knew that I like to travel. So I think when I told them like, no, I'm gonna move there, they're like, okay, yeah, sure. I should probably just like take a trip there and then like come back in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or something like that. But then like I bought a ticket and it was a one-way ticket, and they were like, oh. And then I started moving my stuff. It's
Oh my
like
gosh.
started like selling my stuff and packing it up, and they were like, oh, okay. My parents were really supportive. I think that, especially because Panama wasn't like too far, from
Yeah, yeah,
California. It's kind of like, okay, just like a plane ride away. And so I think they were really encouraging because I think they just wanted me to have that experience in life, and to have that opportunity. My parents have always my parents have instilled in me like the travel bug early on because I used to travel quite a bit with my family. So they're just like, yeah, they were like, make sure you stay in touch, make sure you do this. There was definitely like the safety procedures that we went over before I went. And then I think when I moved to Spain, again, they were really supportive. But I think at that point they were just like, okay, she's just doing this. Like
yeah,
this is her thing. And I think they kind of knew like I didn't really have a lot of obligations. I didn't have a lot of commitments. And so they're like, well, I think my parents have always been people that will like, if you have the opportunity, take it. And so, yeah, I think my friends didn't really like believe me until I did it. And then when I would come back and visit, they're like, "Oh, whoa! Like you were there, and you're like you've been there." And then I'm like, "Yeah, and I'm going back."
yeah,
Like, so they've been really proud of me, and I think that after like my first year, they're like, just stay there. Like just stay abroad. I think because of the fluctuation of what's been happening politically in the United States, I think they're like, just stay there. Yeah, just keep us
yeah.
updated, keep us posted. But you're fine doing you. Mhm.
Yeah, that was I was actually thinking about this because I wanted to go back this summer. One, just
Mhm.
to go back and see family. I need to clean out. I need to go ahead and get rid of my storage unit because
Mhm.
there's hardly
Mhm.
anything in there, but it's important things that I can't
Mhm.
let go of that
Yeah.
are in there.
Mhm.
But I'm paying like $80 a month, and I'm like, girl,
Mm.
you really need to let that go. So I need to go back and clean that out.
Mhm.
My oldest daughter is not far from there, so I've been like working on like, girl, can you just moved into a new house? Can you go ahead and bring that stuff over? But we're
Yeah.
working on that. But besides that, the other thing is getting my dog, who's in North Carolina, and
Mhm.
and I was like, well, but now with everything, I'm like, do you really need to go back? Like, you can actually get with the services to help you get your dog over here without you having to be there.
Mhm. Mhm.
I would love to
Mhm.
go see my family in North Carolina. I love them dearly. And I really do appreciate my sister who took my dog, my sister and her
Mhm.
husband. who took my dog so that I can embark on this journey. But I do need to get my dog. But I'm like, I don't know if I really want to go back to the United States.
Yeah.
So if it's just I would like to go to Mexico for a couple of months, but I don't necessarily want to go back to the United States. And, I just saw all three of my daughters were here. Like my other two daughters came here to visit. So I had all three of my daughters with me in September.
Nice.
And I would like to see them more. I would like to go back to California, but right now I'm just like, you're okay. You see them on video chat every week. Okay.
Yeah.
I love
Totally.
to hug my babies and family, but also, we do some good communication on video chat, WhatsApp.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. Thank goodness for WhatsApp.
Man, yes, thank goodness for technology, whether it's WhatsApp, Google Meet, Zoom, or whatever. So thank goodness for those conveniences. But yeah, WhatsApp is, how we roll, and, having the group chats, and it's really been amazing to keep that, to be able to foster the continued relationship. Yeah. So, okay. So like, this is about like, you are definitely you're all about definitely expanding your horizons and embracing creativity. Oh my goodness. Yes. But how do you hope that helps and affect others? Like with your goals and how you live, how do you hope that actually helps others to see some, get more enlightened as far as possibilities and experiences?
Yeah, that is a great question. And so many answers for that. One, I hope that people can see my life and feel inspired to live life on their own terms, and to add to that, to live life that is authentically for them. I think that so many people, in a sense, get told that they should be a certain way, that they should do certain things, that they should follow a certain career path. And you don't have to do that if you don't want to. There are so many ways to live your life. And especially now, I think as we've seen, technology, remote working, social media taking off, the content creator influencer role taking off, like there's the way that people are living their life, I think, is something that we probably didn't see coming. Like we didn't, figure that like, oh yeah, I knew that I always wanted to like go abroad and stay abroad for a while. Like I had this idea of like studying abroad when I was in college, but then that never happened. If I would have gone back like maybe 8 years from now, 8 or 9 years from now, and been like, oh yeah, you're going to be living in Spain, I would be like, what? How? That's not possible. Yeah. Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't understand. So I hope that people are inspired to kind of just live their life in a way that is authentic to them. I hope that people follow their passions and just do things that make them feel happy and bring them joy. Because I think that, like I'm a very like, I have my own business, and like I'm very business focused. I'm very like, here are these goals, these are these things. But sometimes it's nice to just be creative and just have these outlets where the point of this outlet or the point of this hobby is just to do this hobby and to feel happy and progress in it in any way that you want. And along with that, exploring creativity in different ways. I remember having conversations with people a while ago. They're like, oh, I don't feel like I'm creative. People would say to me, they're like, I don't think I'm very creative. And I'm like, no, everybody is creative. I guarantee you everybody is creative in some way, shape, or form. I think that, again, we have limited our idea of creativity. And I think that society has limited our thinking in so many ways. So when it comes to creativity and it comes to living your life, I want people to think differently about these things, think differently about their world. And I hope that people are inspired to be expansive and to know that like who you are is not limited unless you limit who you are. Like who you are can change and grow and can be molded. And who you were a year ago can be different than the person that you are today. And that is okay. Have your values, stick to them. Your values can change as well. but know that this life, you can take as many different paths as you want to.
Yep. Recognizing, seeing other creatives, seeing, what other people are doing and not saying, oh, I have to follow that exact path in order to show my creative side, but just, I think seeing other people doing things on their own terms and their own callings and creativity can just be an inspiration for you to kind of dig down and really open yourself up to what you're already good at, what you want to, get better at. And then let it flourish from there. I will never forget, there were so many things popping up on social media, especially during COVID and lockdown. But two of them that really stuck out was the people that were cake decorating. And, they were just like, well, I'm home, I might as well go ahead and learn. And became like so amazing at cake decorating. Who would have known? It wasn't something, from what I understand, it was for some of them, like, they ain't never baked a cake before. But they were like, this is amazing. It helped keep their sanity while they were on lockdown. Another person that really stands out her name is Beryl. She is, and I can never say her last name, but she's this lady in New York that started, I guess, somewhere. She worked for, I think, BuzzFeed or something like that before. But during lockdown, she actually started like cooking dishes from around the world. And that's what she would just like make these dishes, and people from around the world, and just make the most unique cultural dishes, ethnic dishes. And now it's become this whole big thing for her. That is now that's her empire right there. Just opening and keeping people aware that and appreciating all the different cultures of the world, and the way she presented it has, she's just super well known and has her own PBS show now. Okay. So just all that to say, lean into the possibility and just be inspired and figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Wow. So walk us through, if you don't mind, a day in the life in high-end Spain.
What is a day in the life? It kind of every day is a little bit different. I have like my routines. In a sense where, okay, so I have my staple things within the week, which are my dance classes. So I'm taking 4 dance classes a week. So I take flamenco in the mornings, Mondays and Wednesdays, and then I take traditional bachata Mondays and Fridays in the evenings. So my days will kind of work around those. So usually I'll start the morning. I have my morning routines, and I make myself a really nice breakfast that is very important to me. I like having a very like hearty breakfast, and that can be like avocado toast and eggs. It can be avocado toast and like yogurt, parfaits, and I'll like throw nuts and berries and things in it. But I really, 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 it's very important to me to have like a really nice breakfast, because I think that kind of helps me set the tone for the day. So one of my businesses, my business is freelance writing and then travel coaching. So because both of these businesses, I can work from home. It's nice because I usually will like write my task out for the day, and then I kind of schedule in when I'm going to be doing different tasks. So I really like try to organize my day. But it's fun because I can have flexibility within my day. So if I feel like I need to sleep in a little bit more, then I can do that and then set my day from there. The other day, I think it was Monday, I had like gotten back from dance class. I got to my apartment and they were doing construction like right outside my window. And I think the apartment above, I don't know, but there was just like, imagine walking in and you just hear this loud, cringing drill noise and just like people banging at the wall. That was what I walked into. And I was just like, oh no, like I can't concentrate with this. So I was able to I was just like, I'm just going to like do some cleaning and some organizing. And then I started working at like 4 p.m. when they were like all done. And so that's kind of what I really appreciate about my day in the life, is that I can make my schedule as I need to. I don't have to stick to, like, sometimes depending, because I am very like this week I'm going to do this week I'm going to do that, kind of just whatever feels good to me in the moment. But I don't have to be restricted to a set schedule. I can kind of like, okay, I feel really energized in the morning, I'm going to focus more of my creative efforts in the morning, and then in the night I'm going to do something more relaxed, or vice versa. Sometimes I've had evenings where I'm just like, ooh, creative flow is happening, and then I've had some mornings where it's just like super slow and my brain doesn't want to turn on. So also other things that include in my life, meeting up with friends. I have like a weekly brunch schedule with my friends, so we meet weekly. The weekends can depend on what's happening. It can be going to the movie theaters. It could be going to a dance class. It could be going to a flamenco show. It could be just, going to like a social dance, going salsa dancing. It kind of just depends on what's happening that weekend or what I feel like doing. Sometimes when it's cold outside, I just kind of hibernate and stay in. But mostly my day in life either is evolved around work, dance, and kind of how my energy level is. Yeah.
Off question, but I just have to ask. So did your place come with like the AC, the heat? What does that look like there?
Yeah, it comes with AC and heat, like a unit in like an AC unit that also doubles as heating in the living room. So it's like in the living room. And then in my bedroom, I'll just have like a little space heater. Yeah.
Okay.
That's just,
does it get colder there, or
yeah, it's
that's because you're in the mountain. Yeah, you're inland.
Yeah. I've gotten more used to winters. I still do not like winters at all. Because my number one complaint about Spain is that many of the houses are older, which is cool, which is fine, but they don't have insulation. So what that means and what that looks like is like you come into your room and you turn on your space heater, you get all like nice and warm and cozy. And what I'm used to in the States, it's like you turn on the heat to kind of take off the chill, it warms the house, and then you turn it off. And the temperature will drop like a little bit, but not that much, Here, no, it literally feels like you turn off the heat and literally just feels like the air just sucks up all the heat and then it's back to being cold.
Yeah. Here's the thing. So when I got this place, before I even started looking, because I literally found this place before I moved here. I didn't pay until I got here, because I moved here in April, and then but I let the person know that I was looking to move in, like, in the summer after the auxiliaries were leaving. Anyways, but I had written down, like I have to have heat, not just in one, or AC. No, my thing was I had to have AC, not just in one room. So I have a 2-bedroom. I have a splitter in here, and then one in each bedroom. So, but I realized I don't turn on the heat too often. I mean, I turn it on here because I sit when I'm at my office area is right by here by the window. Right. So yeah, it gets cold. But then they have like the radiators in the rooms. So you don't have radiators in yours? Oh, okay.
No, mine's, I guess our apartment building is a little bit more modern-ish, but I have seen the radiators in a lot of homes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because what happened was when I was in Lisbon a few weeks ago on that was my first pet sit in Lisbon, and I didn't realize until after I was there that there was no radiators at all. I was freezing. It was easier for me to go outside and stand outside than be in that home. It was so freaking cold.
Yeah. It's torture.
And I was so thankful to come back home to my place. And I was like, oh, yes, thank you. Okay. Turn on my heat when I need to.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I just had like 3 more questions and stuff. We're going over the hour and stuff. My goal is always to try to keep it at 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Okay.
I've done a couple where it's like when I interviewed Stephanie Perry and then the luxury vagabond, like we were 2 hours and I was like, oh, we gotta go. Okay.
I can see that, especially with Stephanie, because there's just so
Yeah.
much to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think those were on Sundays. Were those Sundays where, no, there wasn't. I'm trying to think if that was a Sunday. So on Sundays when I do my lives, it's midnight here.
Oh,
So,
right. Yeah. Mm-hmm,
that's my commitment to you.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
People that are watching.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. So as a writer, so what exactly do you do as far as freelancing? Can you expound on that first? The
Yeah.
coaching and the freelancing, actually both of those. How does that work?
Yeah. It's funny because before I got into this live, someone had asked me like what I do, and I usually they had asked me in Spanish, and I just say like a escritora, like I'm a writer. And I'm just like, I'm tired of saying that. I need to have something like catchier to say. So
Your
what do I
elevator
do?
pitch.
I need an elevator pitch, right? Because I just I'm like, oh, that doesn't really like say much of what I do. Anyway, so I write things for the internet. So I write articles, I write website copy, newsletters, blog posts. So a lot of the stuff that you read on the internet, I write. I write mostly informational or educational content that focuses around travel, personal finance, a little bit of like entrepreneurship, a lot of entrepreneurship. So pretty much when you are curious about something or want to learn more about something, I will write information about a certain topic in hopes that you learn something, number one, and two, I help businesses expand their what is the word now? I'm like writer, lost of words, but expand their presence online. So I love business because that's the thing with I do content and copywriting, which is pretty much all writing for the internet. And what that does is it helps any type of like content writing, blog writing, article writing. All what it does is helps get businesses in front of audiences, and it helps connect audiences with businesses. So so that's a part of my writing side of the business, and my coaching side of the business is really helping people to travel more, travel for longer periods of time, and to move abroad and not have money be an issue that holds them back. As I think that because a lot of my a lot of writing that I do is on personal finance and managing money and budgeting and saving, and et cetera, et cetera. One thing that I have found, a lot of questions that I often had gotten in the past and still now is just like, oh, and as we kind of seen in one of the comments of like, oh, I want to move abroad, but I'm worried about the taxes. Like, how much money do I need to move abroad? Or I want to start traveling, but like, how do I make sure I have enough money and things like that? And so I think that in the United States, particularly, I think we have this very limited perception of money and very little financial literacy amongst a lot of people. And so I love talking about money and how it connects to helping people to travel.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Didn't know. I mean, I just saw your content and I was like, I don't know what she does. I don't know what it looks like as far as like, she's a writer, but I'm like, she must be doing well because she seems like she's just living the best life.
No, I do a lot of writing. I think the other thing I wanted to add to that is that most importantly, what I do at the heart of what I do is I tell stories. So I'm a storyteller. So that's, I think, one thing that, if I had to sum up my business, I was just like, I tell stories. I'm a storyteller. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how do you think that your view of the world, do you think that your view of the world has changed because you have been traveling so much or you've lived abroad for so long?
Yes. My view of the world has definitely been expanded. And I think in the sense of how people live their life, I think that, understanding that everyone lives their lives very differently. Everyone has different values. And there's so many different, that we're all, so that everyone lives their lives differently, but we're all connected in a way. What I mean by that is I think that I've been able to make friends from all over the world, from different backgrounds, different experiences, different languages sometimes, but we're able to connect. And I think there's something magical about that. that, you know, obviously you're going to connect with people that you grew up with because you grew up with them. You guys, you know this, you have the same neighborhood, you have the same, went to the same school, et cetera, et cetera. But to be able to connect to people that I had never met before and might not have ever met unless I moved abroad, I think there's something very magical about that, because they don't really know me, I don't really know them, but we connect and we see each other with a brand new lens. And that's something that I really value. And that's something that I've learned to look at the world and look at people with a new lens, a fresh lens of like, okay, who is this person? Versus maybe in the United States, when I was in the United States, I kind of would just meet somebody, you know, and that was it. Like there wasn't a lot of depth to it. You know, it's kind of just like, oh, this person. Or I remember just going to different events in Los Angeles and feeling like I was just talking to people's like LinkedIn profiles, or like, I do this. This is my job, and this is
the network after work. The network after work. Oh my gosh, yes. Okay.
Like, but who are you? Like, I don't know. Like, stop talking about what you do and tell me like who you are. But here I feel like I've gotten to see that with people. I've gotten to connect with people and learn who they are, because so many, like in the US, we're taught to define ourselves by our work. And in other parts of the world, no, their job is just what they do, but they have other interests. Their personality is different. It's just like, yeah, this is my job that I do from this time to this time, but it's not who I completely am. This is not my entire personality.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. My goodness. Okay. So two more. Okay. So like, and actually it kind of falls in the same realm, but I want to know, what does success feel like or mean to you now? Living here in Spain.
I love these questions. Yeah. I think success, what it feels like and looks like to me now, is one, being happy, and two, being able to do the things that I love. Yeah, being able to pursue the things that I love, being able to take an idea and implement it, and being able to enjoy the moment. I think, because I think that was not me in the US. I think I was always living in the future. I was always thinking like, what next? What do I have to do? I have to do this. I have to do that. Like I was always trying to just like get to a certain point. But now I'm just like, oh, it's nice just to be here. It's nice to just like sit on this bench and feel the rays of sun on my skin. When I was on the bus one time, I think earlier this week or last week, and I had forgot my earbuds. So usually I like put my earbuds in, and I was just like sitting and next to like these group of older women, and they were chatting, and it was hilarious because they were just chatting about their life and their days. And this woman had like this gigantic lemon, like literally like almost the size of my face, the size lemon. Yes. And it was just like, how nice is it just to be here and experience this? You know, like it's just like a nice moment just to be like happy in this moment and not to be like completely in my head about like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this, da, 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 da. It's just like, oh, I can just be here.
Yeah, it's like, I know I have things to get done. You know, I'm not on some like, you know, permanent vacation here. I still work.
Of course,
I still like working.
Yeah.
But there's just a certain amount of, you know, when I sit here at my desk, you know, in the morning and start getting things together and planning my day, and I just look out and I just see that my view is just, it's a bunch of apartments, but it's beautiful to me. When I have to get my cart so I can, you know, because everybody has that cart when you go to the grocery store or wherever. Because you walk, you have a cart. But yeah, for me to get the cart and everything, like this morning, and I went to the grocery store to get some things, and just the walk there, and you know, it was cold, but I don't know, there's still just this certain amount of peace that I just feel in just doing the everyday tasks.
Yes.
It's like,
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah, it is that piece of just being able to live your life.
Absolutely. So what do you think is next for you? Like how long, I mean, are you, what kind of visa, like, are you here for approved for another few years, or you have to go back to renew soon? Or if you don't mind
Mhm.
answering these questions, if not, tell me that none of your business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not at all. So I'm on an autonomo visa, which is like an autonomous worker, like freelance visa. So I got that last year in 2024. So I have to renew that. So that's good for 2 years. So I
Okay.
have to renew that in 2026. So I have another year to just chill. Or like another 10 months to chill, and then like 2 months preparing just to be sure. And then my goal is to get the permanent residency.
Hmm.
So to get that, I have to be here. Well, I've been here for 5 years, but I have to have had like legal status for 5 years, not counting the time that I was a language assistant, because that doesn't really count towards your visa. But
Okay.
there is a visa after 5 years of residency. You can apply for permanent visa, which just means I can stay here for as long as I want, and I don't have to renew. Like I think I might have to like renew like maybe like every 10 years or something like that. But it's like they're legally saying like, okay, you can just stay here. You're good. It is not citizenship. That is just something different. But that is what my long-term goal is, to be able to get like 5-year residency here.
Okay.
Or 5 years, pardon. After 5 years, get like
10 years.
long-term residency, and then and then we'll see what comes after that. But I would like to have that freedom to. Now I have the freedom because I have the 2-year visa, so I can kind of go and come when I please. But to have that freedom and not have to worry about like renewing is what I'm
Yeah.
after. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I have to ask two things. I was like, oh shoot, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Okay. One is, do you have family or friends that have come up from the States to visit you, and how often?
I've had my mom come, I think about 3 years ago.
Okay.
We're gonna probably, I'm gonna tell her because I'm probably gonna go back to the States in the next couple of months. I'm gonna tell her, I'm like, we're gonna have to plan something. I don't think this year, but I would like to plan something for 2026 for her to come, and us to maybe do Spain again, and to do another part of Europe, because I feel like my mom has, when my mom came to Spain, it was her first time in Europe. But I'm like, come on, guys. I'm like, let's expand a little bit. Like we got baby steps. We came to Spain. Now let's go about. Friends, my friends that are listening to this that are in the States, it's time.
Hello, did you hear her? She said, come hither. Okay.
It's time. So hopefully that'll happen soon. I did
Okay.
have one friend who was in London because she's a burlesque dancer. So she was in London dancing, and then she decided to come with her friend to Sevilla, to Seville, and so I met her in Seville. But she didn't really come for me per se,
Yeah.
but I still got to see her, so that was great. So we're gonna count that as one friend. But yeah, I'm hoping that within the next couple of years, especially after I get my permanent residency, and be like, okay, guys, like, come on, it's
Bring it
been
in.
long
Bring
enough.
it in. Yeah.
Bring
Yeah.
it in,
So,
yes. Mm-hmm.
okay. And have you been to where? I mean, have you been visiting like any other parts of the EU or Africa or Asia? Or
Yeah, I've been to France and Portugal. Italy is what's on my list next. And then I've just explored a lot of Spain because for a while I had a weird residency issue, so it wasn't. Can't say it wasn't safe for me to leave Spain, but it wasn't recommended that I leave Spain.
oh yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. So so I explored different parts of Spain, Cordoba, Sevilla, Granada, Valencia, Barcelona, different like pueblos, different towns within Jaén. I'm trying to think of anywhere else. Cartagena, Murcia, different beach towns in Murcia. So yeah, lots of
Okay.
exploring.
All right. Well, that's great. Well, wow, this has been great. This has been really great. I'm so glad that we got to do this and that I got to like talk to you and yeah, and get other people's like, I I like to think that like I'm like the biggest, loudest speaker now for Spain, like Black women in Spain. But
Yes.
but there's whole communities. And speaking
Yeah.
of that, I want to make sure that anybody that's watching that if you do sign up for the email, you click on the little form, you fill out just some basic information, and then once you actually sign up or subscribe, you actually get a list like a how-to list that gives you like a moving to Spain checklist that gives you like all these things that you want to consider. It also has my attorney's information on there. So if you want some good legal
Nice.
guidance there. And then also at the bottom,
Mhm.
there's a list of different groups, a lot of like Black in Spain. You're in the Afro Girls of Valencia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's all these different groups that, communities that can give you support, including my group, Black in Zaragoza, that I created just about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. And right before Stephanie, it was Wednesday, right before Stephanie, I interviewed Stephanie. I was like, you got to get this together, girl. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so make sure that you do sign up for that. I also put in there your website link
Nice.
for that has all your information about your travel writing, your
Mhm.
writing, and also being a coach and the services that you offer through there. And also I put your Instagram link on there also. Yes.
Wonderful.
And if you are in, I would love like come in again April. We're having a meetup starting in
Yes.
Madrid, and then yeah. And what I was just thinking, I don't want to speak it, but I'm gonna be checking with because I'm interviewing Trinica next week, who actually is the creator of Melanin Madrid, and I'm going to
Cool.
see if there could possibly be some kind of like picnic,
Cool.
like on that Sunday before, so maybe get. Because man, that's when I got hooked on Spain. Definitely was I went to a picnic in Retiro Park for Melanin Madrid, and I have to say it had to been a good. I feel like it was probably a good 70 Black people there, and it was just so beyond amazing.
Wow. Okay.
And so that'll be spring months, mid-April. So I'm gonna put that out there. Shanika, if you're watching, girl, let's talk about it. Or anybody else that's in the Melanin
Yes.
Madrid, let's talk about actually having a picnic on that Sunday. And so then we can get people in one day early so they can really get the feel of the community in Madrid. But yes, I hope that you
Yeah.
can make it. But yeah, please make
Yes.
sure you sign up for the Black in Zaragoza. Just go to the Facebook group, Black in Zaragoza. And there I'm going to have some immediate information, or sign up for the email. So we'll have information also. But hey, we did it. Hey. Okay. I'm so excited. This is great. So if you guys didn't get to hear the whole interview, make sure you just go back and listen to the replay, put in the comments that you're listening. Everybody's coming in now. Okay.
Of course. Of course.
I said I was trying to keep it under an hour. At an hour and a half, people are like, I'm going to go ahead and watch this episode.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But yes, okay. So anything else you want to share?
Nice. I just want to thank you again, Yolanda, for having me here and being able to, I think, express a different side of me and the things that I do. So I really appreciate that. Yes, if you visit my website, there'll be a pop-up. You can sign up for my email list, which I share stories, more intimate stories about living abroad and things that I'm experiencing. I also have my YouTube channel, where I'm going to be I have a lot of the informational stuff about, if you want to know what it's like being like a Black ox in Spain, there's a video about that. There's a couple of videos about that.
Means auxiliary, just in case some people are going to be like, ox,
yeah,
auxiliary.
Yeah, and so you should say that's what yes. So a Black language assistant, essentially. And just follow me. I'm definitely going to be Yolanda, you inspired me, pushing out more content about Spain, and also just more content about financial literacy and being able to travel more and being able to afford to travel more and things like that.
This is awesome. Okay, guys. Well, hey, you enjoy the rest of your day, and you hold on, Miss Thing, just a second here.